everyone, and welcome to today's webinar by TJC Americas on digital transformation, the road to S/4HANA, and executive view. My name is Kristen Gerling, and I'm a co-CEO at TJC Americas and focus on sales and business development. I will be your host throughout this webinar. Today, we dive into the pivotal role of data migration within digital transformation projects. We will explore strategic perspectives and practical approaches to doing what industry leaders are doing as far as driving transformation initiatives in their organization. Joining us are two distinguished executives. Andreas Graesser is a CEO and founder of ERP Strategies, a firm that combines modern data analytics with decades of experience to solve complex business challenges. And he has 21 years of experience as a senior VP for global support at SAP, and Andreas led major digital programs worldwide. Also on this call will be Jochen Hager, my co-CEO and manager for client services and delivery at TJC Americas. He is a renowned leader in managing complex data migrations to support enterprise technology shifts. Before I turn it over to our speakers, Andreas and Jochen, a few administrative items. All participants are on mute for the entire duration of our webinar. We would like you to alert us if there is any technical issues through the questions panel. And we would also like you to post your questions in the questions panel so that we can get to them and answer them at the end of our webinar. Our presentation today will take about 20 minutes with 10 minutes reserved for questions at the end. And with that, I'll turn it over to our speakers, Jochen and Andreas, please.
Thank you very much, Kristen. Thank you for the introduction. I would like to start with a few guiding ideas. So as organizations strive to remain competitive in a rapidly evolving digital landscape, the shift from legacy SAP ECC systems to modern platforms like S/4HANA has become a strategic imperative. This transformation is driven not only by technical necessity, but also by the promise of financial and qualitative gains, from streamlining operations to improved data accessibility. TJC's group's ERP decommissioning solution, ELSA, offers a cost-effective and flexible approach to managing historical data during this transition, enabling rapid realization of savings, seamless integration for AI and analytics, and freedom from vendor lock-in. In contrast to alternative approaches such as data lakehouses or custom-built decommissioning solutions, ELSA delivers a turnkey, scalable solution that prepares businesses for the future. As system landscapes become more dynamic and historical data volume grows, the need for a sustainable, accessible, and affordable data management strategy becomes critical. So with that, I would like to jump into our discussion. And hi, Andreas, I'm glad to have you on the call today. Thank you very much for joining us. You have been working with many clients, strategically supporting them in their digital transformation on an executive level. In your opinion, what is it that keeps CEOs and CIOs up at night these days when looking at the SAP ECC to S/4HANA journey in their companies?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean, this is a good question. When we talk about SAP, when we manage or use SAP, it's always a huge complexity. So even one single ECC system could have, 500, 600 interfaces, many satellite systems around. And typically, I grew up with the term, never change a working system. So the complexity is a big piece. And this needs to be investigated, and but this is where CIOs have fear, because the old interfaces, they ran forever, but nobody really knows exactly what happens if we switch the interface to something else. So the complexity is one big thing, one big theme. The other one is, okay, the CIOs, they need to deliver innovation to their business. They need to be a partner of the business solutions, not only containing the as-is status. And this is a big thing. How there are so many software vendors. They always present their solution the best, but the question is, does the business get a value out of it? So innovation is also a big theme that is not easy to handle for the CIOs.
Yeah, so based on what I heard you say, the biggest concern really is value in transformation. I think that can be gained in a number of ways, through true improvement in processes with best practices, through better and cleaner data, or through system landscape simplification. What do you think CIOs and CEOs are valuing the most of these three, and why?
Yeah, I think what I said earlier and what you mentioned, the value to business is the biggest piece. If the business does not have something faster, more, the more visibility, more data, more reliability, more commitment. I mean, why should we spend so much money for not only for the software, what is maybe the smaller part, but also for the implementation, what is sometimes very tricky. So business value is number one for me. And then the second one is data. So data is typically, and this is my experience, it's underestimated, and it's also not covered by responsible by accountability in companies. It's running somehow. There are many silos. When we look at master data, we have somebody who manages vendor data, somebody manages customer business partner, but nobody owns basically data across all silos, across all business units in an enterprise. So those are the two most important things.
Yeah. I do believe that true transformation can only be achieved when doing a complete transition from the old to the new. In my eyes, only half the job is done when transitioning a part of the data into S/4HANA. Just as important, it is just as important to manage the data that stays behind in your ECC system. This data is highly valuable and presents all business information from the past that should be available for analytics data mining, and future strategic decision making. Why is it, you think, that there is so little thought given to easy access to legacy data? Why do companies move on and leave so much valuable information behind?
Yeah, you're right. They leave the gold behind, so to speak. Data is the new oil. I guess I mentioned in one of my books. But the point is, in the past, if we want to reuse or use data from legacy systems, it's always getting tricky. You need to have the semantics, the meaning of data. You have to have data relation, so basically database skills to move pieces and data entities together. And so this is a large undertaking without, not a great immediate business value out of it. So therefore, in the past, I would say that was kind of neglected because too expensive for too less value. Today, it's AI. Of course, everybody speaks AI, but what I mean here is, even SAP now comes with integrated AI. We could train the model so that the AI tool uses data in other data sources in other systems and compiles it for a better usage for not customers but for consumers, so for the end users, basically for the data analysts.
Yeah, no. I think we have a very important point here, considering the recent changes and improvements in artificial intelligence, and that it really is everywhere, and companies all around the world are trying to get the most out of this, and it is a massive data transformation on the way, even for SAP customers. What in an ideal world should SAP customers do? What is the best approach to deal with that data and have it ready for AI purposes?
Yeah, I would hire first an AI officer or AI data officer or a data officer. Don't put AI into the title. No. But somebody who is accountable for finding the right tools, the modeling, put it into the company, make sure it stays inside. So meaning they have to buy their own and train their own models, so to speak, and then they use it for all employees. So I know the company I'm working with right now, so they did exactly that. So they are using Copilot in an enterprise in a private version, and the employees, they can now ask, the tool to whatever, summarize PDDs or whatever it is, and they are much faster. So efficiency improvements they are given, but you need to have somebody on top in the leadership team who promotes and who funds the tools. It's not for free.
I think that this is very interesting. There's really not only a shift in technology, but there is a shift in perspective that people need to focus more on data. And from that point, looking ahead, how do you see the role of legacy data evolving in the context of AI, machine learning, and predictive analytics? Is that different? Is that value higher than what we have when we compare it to online data? What is your perspective on this?
I mean, the beauty, or let's say the opportunities when combining legacy data and actual transactional data is that we could, or an AI model could find out some relationships, some patterns that we could not see before. The question, of course, is, what is, how far does legacy data go back? I mean, when you just think about an oil and gas company, so I worked for a while for ExxonMobil, so they, today, they're still using R2, at my knowledge, what is a super old SAP system, because the business process didn't change. I mean, they still drill a hole and pull oil out, so obviously over the last 50 years, there was no innovation in the area. So for such an area, it makes sense to use old data because the business process did not change. Look into retail online, and everybody moves from store to online. Does it make sense to use for an online business scenario old in-store data? Maybe it does not, so I don't know what an AI tool could really conclude or pull out of old data applied to new capabilities or to new scenarios.
All right. Well, lastly, I will be interested in your view on the financial implications of not decommissioning legacy systems. There is a semi-new term of technical debt. What are the financial implications of not decommissioning legacy systems after a digital transformation, like moving from SAP ERP to S/4HANA?
That's a wide chapter, I would say, and what I saw across many customers, they went through the transformation from an ECC to an S4. They made the business case. Okay, we retire the old systems and put it in the business case and everything. But at the end, they did not retire the old systems, because they didn't know, okay, what to do with the data. We still might have, there's some regulatory requirements. Maybe there are other scenarios where people in certain cases had to look back into the old system. So they kept the system running, what means that the business case originally made is not happening, because they still spend money. They have to update the systems, the software of the old systems. They have to operate it somehow. I mean, it's not super big, but it's a line item on the cost block of a CIO. They have to make sure the security updates are in everything. So they have still the old system up and running, kind of. Not productive, okay, they don't have priority one issues, okay, but from an operation perspective, they have still to run it. So, and this is where I guess you guys come in, where data can be managed outside an ECC system or an old legacy system, still accessible from the new S4. And as far as I know, ELSA does this, or?
Thank you. That's a great segue. And with that, well, first and foremost, thank you very much, Andreas, for these very interesting insights. And with that, I am handing it back to Kristen, and she will give us a quick overview, not very long, just a few ideas of what ELSA can do, and then we go to some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas and Jochen. What I took away is that there is still some importance for historic data, and it is a strategic measure to have a plan to how to access that historic data in the future. So here are a couple things on TJC's Enterprise Legacy System application. That is what ELSA stands for. And ELSA is an SAP certified application built on the SAP Business Technology platform. It allows you to get access to historic data, documents, static reports or other reports, and archive data. And you can do that either from the ELSA portal or through a custom Fiori tile that you're building and jumping right into it from your Fiori screens. You visualize within ELSA all your decommissioned systems, may they be SAP or non-SAP, and it provides an audit trail for proof of compliance from when we extracted the data to how it got stored as a file, then how it got stored on the storage of your choice, and then also what got loaded into the database. We follow compliance guidelines like GDPR and California Consumer Privacy Act or the Canadian Law 25, and have extensive authorization management with our tool and data masking features for bank information and other personal information that needs to be masked so that you can't get, that not every user can get the bank information, for example. What are the major phases of a project? First phase is extraction. Then we're extracting the database table, the content of the database tables, the documents, any attachments, any static reports that we want to keep, and we store those as flat files on a file system, and then from there move them to the storage of your choice. That can be a blob storage with one of your hyperscalers, or that can be an on-premise file system. And then we import that data into a database of your choice, and here you have the choices of SQL or Postgres or another HANA database if you have high performance requirements. And once the data actually resides in the database, it is ready for access from the user community, again, through a portal or through custom Fiori tile. We are also fitting into SAP's business AI concept. We are providing Parquet extracts of the data that then can be imported into the different business data fabric solutions SAP provides. And with that, I'm just going to summarize it again, just a check mark. It is an SAP certified solution built on the technology platform. Compliance is there from the minute we start extracting data to the display of the data. We are AI readiness. We are AI ready, and we give our customers opportunities to save cost by not having to keep up obsolete infrastructure that is no more on the technology standards of today. And with that, we are going into our questions, and I have to stop sharing for a minute so that I can actually see the questions. There's one question, and I think that would be for you, Jochen. When do I start my decommissioning project?
That is interesting. Is an interesting question. Not every customer is in the same boat. Some customers are already on S4. In that case, they might have left some data behind, and we would at that point analyze what data is left behind, what is still needed. Do we need the compliance functions for a tax archive, and extract that, and then build the decommissioning process, decommission the system, ensure that we have all the relevant data online, and shut down the legacy ERP system. In cases where customers have not started their journey, it would make the most sense to run the project, the decommissioning project, in parallel to your S4 project. As you define and decide what your new retrieval screens will look like, you would then also design what your legacy data retrieval screens look like. So the same experts get involved at the same time, which again has huge cost savings, and you're not hit with a huge budget item at the end of your S4 transformation when your coffers are empty and you actually so done because you've just finished a multi-year project, you want to move on, and then you're still fighting with your legacy data that's in no shape or form usable for anything in the future. So it depends. If you have already finished your S/4HANA transformation, it becomes a separate project. If you haven't started, I would highly recommend to run it alongside your S/4HANA implementation, because then you have minimal additional effort and minimal additional impact on the time and manpower of your team.
Okay, thank you, Jochen. One question for Andreas. What impact do you see from data privacy regulations started in 2018 from Europe on decommissioning?
I mean, the rules are pretty clear and straightforward. They need to be obeyed. So I would not see a big concern on if it's an old ECC system, but there are sometimes legacy systems. I know cases where, for example, a consumer or a customer requests to have his or her record deleted, and that system was that old they could not even delete the records, or they got fined. You know, so from that point, they're not super large concerns, but we need to have, if there are old ECC systems, you have to have the the software updated so you can manage the data as required.
And then Jochen, could you reiterate how legacy data from ERP can be used for AI when on S4?
Well, when you are in S4, we already saw in the graphic that there is multiple ways to access the data. There is Parquet as an export interface to make sure that the data is with all the privacy regulations, all the authorizations cleanly exported and usable in an AI environment. In addition, the Databricks environment that SAP offers allows you to directly access SQL databases as well. That, on the other hand, circumvents any authorizations that might still be in place and makes the data more widely accessible. But we are currently exploring several avenues in current projects with our customers to figure out for each individual situation what the best path forward is for AI integration.
Okay. And one more for Andreas. What are the accelerators to achieve a positive or ROI when doing S/4HANA transformations?
And I should answer this in one sentence? No. I mean, there are a few.
We have 3 minutes left, so.
Based on my experiences, I mean, the main focus is the customer. When you start the transformation, what is the scope? I mean, this is easy said, but not so easy done, to get alignment on the scope and then manage with whatever SIs or system integrator you have and manage the other side that they follow the scope and also provide guidance. Very often, you have an SI, they come in and then they ask you as a customer, okay, what should I do? How do you like this? No, this is the wrong approach. You need to have an advisor, a consultant in the real sense of the word that advises how to do, business processes best. So I would say those two things, they would go a long way in terms of ROI.
Okay. I'll go back to our slides and want to make sure everybody gets your contact information. Also, we have in the download section of GoToWebinar, we have some collateral and a copy of the slides for you. These were all the questions. So I would like to remind you that the next session will be on September 30th. The topic then will be how to select the right path to S4 for your business. And hope you join us then and hope to see you again. Till then, goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.